Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is actually mark on the flute where we want the tone holes to go. So what I ended up doing was looking down the flute to look for how it kind of naturally will jut off in one direction or another, because of the fact that this isn't a perfect way to make a flute, so there's going to be some discrepancies between the two parts, so it might want to lean more to the right or up or down or so on. So I'll twist it to where it's mostly straight, and then if it still needs more straightening, I'll heat it up again and kind of straighten it in that fashion, which we'll do later. But for now, we're going to mark down the center of this flute in order to start making those tone holes. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect in line with the head joint, because it still can move left and right a little bit. You can still twist it around just slightly. This mainly just needs to be straight with the edge of the PVC pipe. So I line it up as best as I physically can. And then I'll draw a line. I got it pretty much lined up with a 1/2 inch mark here, just so that I have something to straighten it out with. But now you can see that it's mostly straight, I think. I can't tell if you can tell from this angle or not, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the wedge for now to make things a little bit easier so it doesn't slide out while we're working. But looks pretty good to me. So we'll go ahead and start marking where the tone holes go. I'm going to put a list of the numbers that you need, but I have them written down on a flashcard here. So we got, I use this nowadays, but basically we're going to use a 3/8 inch hole, 3/8, 5/16, 3/8 again, 7/16, and a 5/16, all the way for the bottom D note. So this is going to be at 297 millimeters, 260 millimeters, 223 millimeters, 166 millimeters, 137, and then 98. Now, so I don't have to remember all of these numbers. What I've done to my millimeter ruler here is I've just kind of put a dot on the millimeter marks where the holes go, so I don't have to reference it every time and like accidentally mistakenly put it somewhere else or something like that. So I'll take the ruler and I will turn the flute itself towards me quite a bit so that it lines up with the actual line on the flute. Pull out my marker. Start with 98, I believe. 137. 166. 224. 260. And 297. Right? Yeah, 297. And boom! It's easy as that. Grab our box cutter again, and just like we did with the embouchure hole, we're going to pre-drill all of these holes. Make them as close to center as you can, and just start having at it. Okay, there we go. Holes have been pre-drilled. So next up we're going to pull out the drill, and we're just going to go ahead and drill all of them. So first and foremost, we're going to start with 3/8 inch hole. It's going to be, this is the B tone hole, it's going to be 3/8. The A tone hole is also going to be 3/8, and the F sharp tone hole is going to be 3/8 as well. So we're just going to get that out of the way, because I already have the 3/8 given the fact that the embouchure hole needed a 3/8 anyway, so we'll go ahead and get that done. So these are the 3/8 tone holes. Looking pretty good. This one's slightly more offset than the rest of them, but that's totally fine. It probably will be easier to reach on the flute now. But I'd normally try and make them as even as possible, but the camera's kind of getting in the way where it normally shove my head to kind of look at things. So next up is the, we're going for 5/16. Now the 5/16 is going to go, 5/16 is going to go on the D tone hole and the G tone hole. And the last one is going to be E, it's going to be very big, it's 7/16. But for now we're going to switch over to the 5/16. So we got 2 tone holes that need that. Alrighty, now we got one more tone hole to do. Now this one is a really big one, to where the drill press, I don't know if it's just because I use Harbor Freight drill bits or something, but it's actually quite aggressive. It starts shaking around and whatnot and getting real loud, so where you'll see that in just a moment here. But maybe if I upgrade to better drill bits, it won't do this as much, but I really haven't had that much trouble with it. It's kind of annoying and maybe a little scary, but it's not stopping me from doing anything, so. And there we go. You got your tone holes done. Now at this point in time, we could honestly just go ahead and put our tuning slide in and start playing away. It's going to be difficult to cover and make a good seal on the tone holes because there's just so much burrs around the edge of it that you need to get cleaned off first, but it's pretty exciting whenever you make your first one. You want to make noise with it, so. As I said before, it's pretty difficult to play at the start because you haven't cleaned everything up yet, but it still does make sound. And it's a pretty good one nonetheless, but it still needs some work. So we're going to clean it up next. And with that, we're going to use the Dremel. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the conical burr that we had before with the embouchure and everything. We're going to actually go underneath the tone holes and do what is called undercutting the tone holes. And this honestly is just kind of cleaning up the bottoms, making them not sharp, kind of like the embouchure was, how he kind of made a slant to it, made sure that none of the bottoms had burrs coming off of it or anything. I'm starting with the underneath of the tone holes and undercutting them first because of the fact that the burr will mar the top of the tone holes just a little bit, and we're going to go over the top of the tone holes with sandpaper anyways later, so just getting this out of the way.
Now what I'm doing is grabbing the sandpaper Dremel wheel, and we're just going to go over the top, make it nice and smooth and good looking. Again, not making it sharp, making it to where people's fingers can land on them without like slightly cutting themselves or anything, making sure all the burrs go away. And as you can see, I'm just kind of spinning the flute around the Dremel itself.
Just gonna go ahead with the rasp and clean it up, just do the final touches, you know, to make it look real nice. Get all the little bits out that might still be just barely clinging on and stuff. We'll do the insides first, and then the outside. Sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's not even honestly done, but it still needs some work, but it still sounds good. To where if you wanted to just stop here and clean it up, that'd be totally fine. You still have this mark on the top, so I'd suggest erasing that with the acetone.